Hello and welcome to another tutorial. This time we'll be looking at some weight painting basics. If you're watching this, congratulations, you made it to the big boy leagues. You made it to the hard mode of Blender. This is where we separate the E-boys from the E-men. You should have some basic knowledge of Blender. I have a simple beginner tutorial that I'll link up there that you can watch if you're new and just want to get started. This is more in the intermediate part. I have a basic Miku avatar here. I gave her a cute little ponytail and a hoodie. But as you can see, the hair doesn't have any bones to it. So we're going to add some bones to the ponytail. So we can add dynamic bones in Unity later and get that moving. There's also some basic weight painting problems here with the hoodie. If we're just going to move the head, you can see that the hood kind of extends. And we don't want that. Also, I think there's something wrong with the, we have some problems there. So I'm going to show you how to fix those. And then we're going to move on to how to add bones and link them to the mesh and add the weight painting. Okay, let's get started. The first thing I like to do is just separate everything by materials. That will make the weight painting a little bit easier. So to do that, we're just going to go into Cats plugin. Under model options, we're going to pick separate by materials. And there we go. Now we have all the materials separate. Now the hair for me is 4 pieces, but we don't need that right now. We're just going to focus on the hoodie. So select the hoodie by going into object mode and clicking on the hoodie, or whatever part you're having problems with. And then what we want to do is, actually, let's go to pose mode and see. Yeah, that's what we have problems with. So that's going to be our problem area. Back to object mode, select the mesh, and then we're going to go to weight paint. Now this is what pops up. Some basic info about weight painting. Everything that's blue isn't being moved, and everything that's a yellowish, orange, or red is being moved. And by being moved, I mean that if we go over here to the upside down triangle object data properties, we'll have our vertex groups. Now, a vertex group is basically a link between your bones and your mesh. So if you want the bone to move a part of your mesh, it needs to have a corresponding vertex group. Now for this, we need to figure out which one of these hand or arm bones is moving this part of the mesh. Now we can already narrow it down to be one of the arm bones. So we're going to find the culprit here. That's moving the hips, or the hips is moving that part of the mesh. Yeah. That's all looks good. Right arm, there we go. We can see that the right arm bone, which is this one, is moving this part of the mesh, and we don't want that. Everything up here looks fine. So what we want to do is, while we're in weight paint mode, you can go to Tool, and under Blend, we're going to switch that from Mix to Subtract. Subtract basically works like an eraser. And now, while we're in weight paint mode, make sure the right vertex group is selected. And then you can just go ahead and erase all that. That looks already pretty good. We have some clipping going on, but we can fix that later. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. We have some weird stuff going on there. So let's check to see if It's the left arm. It indeed is the left arm. So while that's selected, just go ahead and erase all that. That looks pretty decent. We're gonna fix the hood next. What I like to do is go back to my armature, pose mode, right click and clear user transforms. And then we're gonna fix this. Now, from this I can tell that either the neck bone or the head bone is moving that part of the hoodie. Now I could just move this around here and try to sneak past the hair and stuff and fix that. Or you can just press G to move the head around. That's fine. We can just go ahead and right click and clear user transforms to get that back. But yeah, that's gonna make it a little easier. We're gonna go back to object mode, select the hoodie, go to weight paint mode, and try and find the head. Yes, the head is indeed moving that part of the mesh. So again, while we're in the blend mode is subtract under weight paint tools, we'll go ahead and erase that. From the looks of it, it is still being moved by something else as well. But just go ahead and do the best you can. Sometimes you really have to click around to get rid of that stuff. You can go ahead and zoom out. Just click around, zoom back in. You can play with the strength slider. Sometimes it can be a real pain. A real pain. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Let's check the neck bone as well. Oh, the neck bone is moving quite a bit. We don't need the neck to move any of that, so I'll just erase all that. Ooh, we have some more problems. Usually, I just use the viewports shading for this, mixed with the X-ray. You can see all the stuff a little bit clearer. Now, like I said, this can be a real pain. Sometimes it takes forever. Okay, another thing I forgot to mention is while you're in weight paint mode, under brush, uncheck front faces only. And under fall off, make sure you change fall off shape from sphere to projected. And now what that does is it lets you work with parts of the mesh that aren't just in the front, but also in the back. Now this becomes extremely useful later on once we start working with the hair and adding bones. Okay, so there we go. The head is still moving parts of the mesh, and there we go. That looks pretty darn good. English. Go back to object mode. Select the armature, pose, and clear transforms. There we go. Now the head or the neck, neither are moving the hood, which is kind of what we want in this case. Everything else seems to work just fine. Oh, there we go. We have some more problems there. We can weight paint the hood to the chest. Find the chest. Switch back from subtract to mix to add stuff in, and then just weight paint that in. Play around with the radius and the strength to get it in there. There we go. That should work. Now, like I stated before, weight painting is an absolute nightmare. And this is probably where you're going to be spending most of your time in Blender in. There we go. We fixed most of the weight painting issues, and now we can move on to the hair. To do this, we're going to select our armature. Oh, actually, first let's merge all the hair materials into one. And then select our armature. Go to edit mode, and we're going to add a new bone and move it right around here, and then we're gonna create a link of bones going down. I suppose we might as well add a root bone as well. So to do that, while in edit mode and your armature selected, we're gonna go up here and click add single bone. Now it should spawn somewhere down here, so you just select it and press S to scale it down, G and Z to move it up, somewhere around there. I'll move it a little bit forward. This is going to be the root bone. The root bone for our hair. Something like that. And what I like to do is go over here on the right, select the bone icon, bone properties. And over here, I'm just going to rename this to hair root. Now, once we're in Unity, we can just add a single dynamic bone to this bone, and it should affect the rest of the hair. There we go. We can technically parent it to the head. Yeah. And then we're gonna make another one. I suppose, yeah. Just add a new single bone. Scale that down. Move it up. Somewhere around there. Make it a little bit smaller. Press R to rotate. Like so. G and Y to move it sideways. Right around there. Since we have a little bit of a bow here, I think I'm gonna make it start from the outside of... Yeah, that looks pretty good. Now, another thing with bones is if you select the entire bone, then you can move the whole bone around. But if you just click on the head or the tip of it and press G, you can kind of move it around with the base as the root. So this becomes very useful when you want to rotate bones but want the base to remain still. So that's G for that. Let's rename this to ponytail. And now we're gonna start a link and move it down here. I think I'm gonna add like maybe 5 bones. Personally, I think the less bones is better. A lot of materials or assets you get for hair, they have a lot of bones, which obviously make it look nicer when it moves, but in optimizing terms, that's not really a good thing. So let's click on the head or the tip of the bone, and we're gonna press E for extrude. And that's gonna give us another bone. And it should already name the bone, whatever you rename the previous bone to, and 001. The next one's gonna be 002, etc. And now we're just gonna continue this. We're gonna press E again. And again, and again. I think I'm gonna make one more. Now we'll just make sure all those are somewhat centered, like so. The more precise you can be, the better. There we go. That looks pretty good. And we're gonna parent this to hair root, which we made earlier. There we go. Now we have the bones done and we can add the vertex groups. So we're going to go back to object mode, select our hair mesh, go to object data properties, and we're going to add some vertex groups. To add a vertex group, you just click on the little plus icon, and I'll create a new one and name it group. But we want these to be named the exact same as the bones that we just added. So this vertex group corresponds to the first bone, which I named ponytail. And the next one should be ponytail.001, 002, etc. So we added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's add 5 more. Name this ponytail.001. Just gonna copy that. Make another one. 002, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's good. Now remember that the first bone you made is named just a name without a number. There we go. Now we have a vertex group corresponding to each one of these bones. Now we can go ahead and weight paint. With your mesh still selected, we're going to go to weight paint mode. And sometimes the hair appears black, sometimes it doesn't. I like to use viewport shading, as I stated before, and have X-ray on. This makes it a little bit easier. Make sure front faces is off and fall off is set to protected. Now, technically, what you can do is just paint what you need, or you can use the gradient tool. Personally, I think this is a little bit more accurate. Also, make sure gradient is set to radial. What I like to do is just drag that like so. Make a new one. Now, whether these overlap doesn't really matter. This is going to be a problem, but we're going to fix that later. The same way we fix the rest of the problems. So there we go. Now the ponytail vertex group or bone is moving this part of the mesh. We're going to pick the next vertex group. Add all that stuff in. Like so. What I like to do is make sure the yellow and orange part is roughly the same size as the bone. And the lighter parts don't really matter. They can overlap. 002. Like that. Now again, like I stated before, if you have front faces off and fallout set to protected, it should do the whole thing around. But if you have those on, then it should only pick the side that's facing you. So make sure those are set correctly. 3, something like that. Now you'll probably have to mess around with these. I never get it right the first try. Mess around with it. Something like that. Let's go back to pose mode and see how we did. Okay. As you can see, it is moving, but it's not entirely perfect. Especially if we move this bone, you can see the back of her head moving a little bit. So to fix that, we're gonna go back to weight paint Change that back. Select the right vertex group, and now we can go ahead and erase parts of that. Select the blend, change it to subtract, and you can go ahead and erase parts of that. We don't want that bone to move any of this. Change the radius to get a more accurate thing. A little bit going on over there. There we go. Everything else seems pretty decent. Armature, pose mode. And as you can see, it is now moving with the bone. The weights aren't perfect, but that is the basic gist of it. You can mess around with these as much as you want. The head still moves the whole thing around, and this should... that's not supposed to happen. Let me just try and get rid of that. But yeah, anyway, that is the basic gist of it. And I suggest you be as thorough as you can, because this is probably where you're going to be spending the most of your time in. If you have more hints or tricks for weight painting, I'd love to hear them. You can leave some comments down below, and I'll definitely look that up, because I'm still fairly new to weight painting myself. I mostly use the data transfer method that I showed in my previous videos, and just kind of mess around and fine-tune it later. The good thing is that most of the hair you're gonna find online already have these bones, so you don't have to go through this painstaking process. But just in case it don't, or you want to add more, this is basically the way to do it. Now, hopefully that cleared up some things. I know it's pretty frustrating, it is for me at least. Just keep at it, don't give up, and I believe in you. Thanks for watching, and thank you to these people for sponsoring this video, essentially. I have a Patreon that you can join if you feel like it. Every $5 or more Patreon will get their names at the end of these videos. Or if you just feel like motivating me a little bit more to make these tutorials, then you know, that's always an option. Anyways, follow me on Twitter and Twitch, where I stream VR games, and I will see you guys in the next tutorial. Bye-bye.